And now, in just a flash, I'll read about the tooth Gnasher Superflash. Mr. Pop Snorkel decided it was time to buy a new car. His old car, a green Thunderclap 8, was just about worn out. So Mr. Pop Snorkel and Mrs. Pop Snorkel and the 5 little Pop Snorkels all got into the worn-out green Thunderclap 8 and went looking for a nice new car. They drove down to the highway where all the car dealers were and all looked at all the signs and shiny new cars in the windows. "Look!" shouted the 5 little Pop Snorkels. "The tooth Gnasher Superflash! That's a great car!" "It is a great car," said Mr. Pop Snorkel. "It was light blue." Mr. Pop Snorkel turned into the parking lot of the tooth Gnasher car dealer. A salesman came out. "I am Mr. Sandy," said the car salesman. "May I show you the new tooth Gnasher Superflash? We only have one left." "Is it the light blue one?" Mrs. Pop Snorkel asked. Mr. Pop Snorkel and Mrs. Pop Snorkel and the 5 little Pop Snorkels and Mr. Sandy, the car salesman, all got into the tooth Gnasher Superflash. Mr. Sandy drove and Mr. Pop Snorkel sat next to him. Mrs. Pop Snorkel and the 5 little Pop Snorkels all sat in the back seat. "So, see how smooth it rides?" Mr. Sandy asked. "We love this car," shouted the 5 little Pop Snorkels. Bye, Daddy." It's a beautiful light blue," Mrs. Pop Snorkel said. "Would it be alright if I drove the car for a while?" Mr. Pop Snorkel asked Mr. Sandy, the car salesman. Mr. Sandy pulled over to the side of the road and got out and opened the door for Mrs. Pop Snorkel, who got in the front seat with Mr. Pop Snorkel, who had moved over beyond the steering wheel. Mr. Sandy, the car salesman, got in the back seat with the 5 little Pop Snorkels. "Yay!" shouted the 5 little Pop Snorkels. "Daddy's gonna drive the tooth Gnasher Superflash." Mr. Pop Snorkel saw the tooth Gnasher Superflash and roared out onto the highway. The tires squealed over drivers on their horns. "Yay!" the 5 little tin Pop Snorkels shouted. "Perhaps you shouldn't drive quite so fast until you are used to the car," Mr. Sandy, the car salesman said. "What does this button do?" Mr. Pop Snorkel asked as he pushed the button on the dashboard. The tooth Gnasher Superflash rolls up on its rear wheels and zoomed along the highway with its nose high in the air. "This is very nice," Mr. Pop Snorkel said. "And what does this button do?" He pushed another button, and the car began to rock from side to side on its rear wheels. Then the rear wheels turned into little legs, and the car into a dinosaur running on its hind legs. "Fine," said Mr. Pop Snorkel. "I like a car that turns into a dinosaur." "And what did this button do?" He pushed another button. The dinosaur put his nose down near the road and began to run on all fours. Then the tooth Gnasher Superflash turned into a galloping elephant. "Hey!" the 5 little Pop Snorkels shouted. "It turned into an elephant too, dear," Mr. Pop Snorkel said to Mrs. Pop Snorkel. "That's very nice, dear," said Mrs. Pop Snorkel. "It's such a lovely car, but do you have to go so fast?" "Of course not," Mr. Pop Snorkel said. "Now let's see what this button does." He pushed another button, and the tooth Gnasher Superflash changed from a galloping elephant to a gigantic turtle. "My goodness, this is really a good car," Mr. Pop Snorkel said. "It turned into a dinosaur, an elephant, and a turtle. Can I do anything else?" "I really don't know," said Mr. Sandy, the car salesman. "I've never heard of a car that turned into a dinosaur or an elephant or a turtle before. This is not the way the tooth Gnasher Superflash is supposed to behave." "Well, it's just the way I think a car should behave," said Mr. Pop Snorkel. "The only thing I like to start to do, besides turn into a dinosaur, an elephant, and a gigantic turtle, we turn into a huge chicken and fly. Let's see if there's a button that would do that." Mr. Pop Snorkel found another button on the dashboard and pushed it. The tooth Gnasher Superflash turned into a huge chicken and flew all the way back to the car dealers. This is a first-class car, said Mr. Snorkel said. We'll take it. Yay! Shouted the 5 little Pop Snorkels. It's only a lovely color, said Mrs. Pop Snorkel. I never saw a car do any of those things, said Mr. Sane, the car salesman. Mr. Pop Snorkel and Mrs. Pop Snorkel and the 5 little Pop Snorkels traded in the worn-out green Thunderclap 8 and gave Mr. Sandy lots of money. They drove away in the new light Bluetooth Gnasher Superflash. Yay, we love a new car, the 5 little Pop Snorkel shouted. It really is a lovely car, said Miss Pop Snorkel. It is a nice car, all right, said Mr. Pop Snorkel. But it can't do half the things a good fun and 8 could do. The end. I hope you like this book, guys. You better get a flash on this one, guys. Give me a big thumbs up and always subscribe to this channel. But it's time for me to burn rubber.